Class D on the
It's 2020. We're back. Your vision is perfect. And I know some of you have that perfect vision on January 31st. That's the date that the US government requires businesses to send W 2 statements to employees. Because you're going to file your taxes, and tax season is upon us. And because it's upon us, that means that there are a lot of financial endeavors that you're going to be able to step into. And so, to give you the tools to do the best with tax season, I have Kevin Mays on. He's the excited accountant, and he is going to give you information on what's necessary to get the most when you file your taxes. So, without any further ado, welcome back, and let's go. Today on Voices, I have a quality person on here just in time for tax season. I have Kevin Mays here. He's the excited accountant, and he is the man that's going to help you take care of all your tax season needs, because I know a lot of people are waiting for those W-2s to come. So I believe no one can introduce themselves better than themselves. So Kevin, thank you for being here, and I open the floor to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Lewis. Kevin Mays here. I am the excited accountant. I love what I do. Accounting is my world. I've been doing this now for 10 excited years. I've went from starting out with 7 clients to now well over 250 clients. And they keep they keep coming back. So that means I'm doing something right. My background is I was a veteran for 6 years in the Army. I'm a graduate from American Intercontinental University with a master's degree in HR and a bachelor's in accounting, cum laude. I'm a solopreneur with Mays Concepts LLC, and I'm just an all-around happy guy. I got to keep that excitement level up. Let people know that taxes is not the death of you. It is actually the birth of you. That you can go from this I feel down type of person to, wow, I just spent time with the excited accountant. I'm excited about doing taxes now. How did that happen? So that's what we do, and we love what we do.
That's awesome. And so the first question that I think it comes to my mind is, some people are like, I'm not a math person. So what led you to accounting?
Actually, when I was working on my associate's degree, one of the classes that I had was an accounting class. And remarkably, I had an A in that class, but it didn't click at that time. It did not click. My focus was on hospitality industry, in which I spent 14 years working up to general manager. But accounting didn't really take hold until after my time in the military. I worked with a lot of numbers, did a lot of inventory, which is one of the accounting features. And well, after getting out of the military and drove a truck for a minute, and from that point, it was like, I need to do something. This is not working for me. So I was unemployed, and I went back to school. And when I went back to school, I got my bachelor's in accounting. And then at that point, I couldn't even find a job. This was 2008 time frame. Couldn't find a job. So I re-enrolled in school and got into the accelerated master's degree program, was accepted into that. And after getting that degree in 2009, I still couldn't get a job. But that accounting part was still a major function in my life. So I got a job with one of the national tax brands, and which expanded my mind as far as tax preparation. And that was the focus that I was leaning on in the accounting world. And from there, it just blossomed. Before that tax season was over, 2009, March 30th of 2009, I started Mays Concepts, and I had 7 clients. And I thought that was the most exciting thing in my life, getting those 7 clients. From there, it just grew, jumped up 600% to 42 people. The next year was another 42 people, and I almost quit. But something inside me just said, keep going. And now here I am. I have my own office. a nice view in the beautiful town of Mint Hill, North Carolina, and I'm loving every minute of it. I have my son working with me as my front office manager, and things have just grown. But I love numbers. I've always loved numbers, and one and one still will equal two. And so for someone who was not a math person, who cannot add one plus one to two, then they'll come see me, and we'll put everything in perspective, and they'll leave happy.
So you made a point where you said you had a couple of issues with the job search, which I think is something worth sort of expanding on. But also, you worked for a national brand, and so why not stay corporate? What was the inspiration to say, let me do Maze Concepts?
Ooh, that's a good question. The the reason why I left that national brand is because I did not like how much they were charging the people. Now, for me, hospitality industry, military, I'm about service. I'm about taking care of people. So at the end of the day, that I'm doing someone's taxes, normal W-2, a home, married, couple of kids, maybe 89 to 90,000 as a yearly annual income. The national brand that I was working with wanted to charge them $600 and $800 to do a 1040 regular standard taxes. And I thought it was just ludicrous. I'm like, why are you charging these good, hardworking people this much money to do taxes where that's their money? Oh, you should just grab a little slice of the pie, just, what you're worth to do the taxes. And that's it. I think they were greedy. And, but people are so used to going to those national brands that there's no way of breaking them out of that habit. Call it the zombie effect. But it hurt me. And I said, I can't do this. I'll start my own business. And now I make the rules. I know how much I want to charge people. It's not a lot. It's manageable, less than what you would pay for a cell phone or a utility bill. And so the people are coming because I have a fair price.
And so with that, like it's important to kind of understand, while you do taxes, Maze Concepts is more than just taxes. It's a full service accounting firm. So what would you say is the most important function that an accountant provides for an individual as well as a business?
One of the things that I found to be successful is not only the accounting part, but also the teaching part. So you show people what they need to do based off of what they have. So what I mean by that is for business. So let's say that there's a small entrepreneur like myself. They have a place that they've rented out. They have their expenses and they have the income that's coming in. What we call that is a profit and loss. So what we do is we educate them based off of the tax form that they're using. Either it's a Schedule C or a 1065 partnership or 1120S or 1120C corporation tax. So we educate them based off of that tax form and how they can transform their information that they go through the year onto that form to make sense out of it, so the IRS could say, okay, we know you're a company, we see you're doing your taxes right, we won't mess with you. So that is the end game.
Oh, I totally understand. And the thing is that all the stuff you said is really, for people, they're like, oh my God, he just said a bunch of serious stuff. And so it leads me to what I first met you on, is the Excited Accountant. So where did that come from? Because you deal with a lot of stuff that people may think is, oh, this is boring, but somehow you add energy to it and you make people interested from your energy. So where did the Excited Accountant part come from?
Well, that is basically from my hospitality training. Dealing with hospitality, you have to deal with, being in the hospitality industry, you deal with all sorts of people, shapes and sizes, and different languages. So one person may come in. I'll give you a good example of how to stay excited. There was one client that came into the hotel and their room wasn't ready. And they just went ballistic. And of course, you're behind the desk, you have to maintain a certain professionalism. So smile, sir. I'm sorry that this is happening. Maybe I can offer you a beverage at the bar, or maybe a free meal at our restaurant. But it's always changing that negative into a positive. So that person that comes into the tax office and they say, "Oh, I have these taxes. I haven't done my taxes for 10 years. I don't know what I'm going to do. IRS is on me." Well, let's take a look at that. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's have a seat. Let's calm down. Here, have some water. Let's look at what you have. And oh wow, I can do that. Let's take this part right here and we're going to do it 1 year at a time. And by the time we get to that whatever year that they had to do, they're laughing and smiling because I'm laughing and smiling. It's a projection of confidence and of happiness and saying that this is okay. This is not the end of the world. Changing that negative into a positive. That's one of my strongest suits. That was a good class actually I took when I was in college. It was called personal mental positive mental attitude. That's it. Positive mental attitude. Changing that negative and make it into a positive situation so that when they write that check, they're happy about it. And they're excited about what just transpired. They're no longer stressed out. They are in a better place and they know that they can come to me or one of my associates and we will be as professional as we need to be. And if we need to be that person that you can lean on the shoulder and cry on, you can cry on my shoulder. Afterwards, we're going to get to work and we're going to get it done.
Awesome. And so the thing is, you actually brought up the next point that I wanted to address is dealing with challenges. Is like, what are some of the most exciting challenges maybe you overcome, or what are your greatest successes? Because you talked about the job search issue, and I feel like what you're doing is you're kind of giving career advice without directly giving career advice. So I think adding on to that, I think you could add some more quality as well.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and like I said about before, that I was at a point where I was at a low point. Here I am. I have a bachelor's degree. I have an associate's degree. I have a master's degree. I have 14 years of hotel experience, 6 years of military experience, and I couldn't find a job. And because of that negative, that low point, instead of staying in that soup, I got the mud off my boots, dust off my boots, pulled myself up from the bootstraps, and said, I can do better than this. And so when I went to that class was an enlightenment. It was like, this is it. It was like the heavens opened up. This is what I want to do, taxes. Because everything that I've learned so far culminated into what a tax professional should be. I said should be. Always there, ready to help, giving you consultation, teaching you what the next step may be or can be, and put it all together and leave it with a smile.
That's awesome. So now, just specifically dealing with tax season. Mm-hmm. Now, what are some, just at the just go on the shallow part of the topic to start? What are some must-dos for individuals and businesses to prepare for tax season, since January is here?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. What I would suggest to, and I'm gonna go right down the gambit, for those who are W-2 and who have a job, W-2 employees, the thing that you could do if you do not have home, if you do not, this is just as basic as you can be. Your last pay stub from the following year will give you a general idea what your W-2 will look like. So you can actually come to my office. We can look at your last pay stub and give you a general idea of what your refund or your liability may be. We cannot file it based off your last pay stub, but at least we can give you an idea of what it will look like. So let's say a solopreneur like myself, an LLC, and for us, we should have a P&L statement, which is the profit and loss statement, all of your income and all of your expenses. And from that form, we could put together taxes as well and give you a general idea of what your liability may be, or how we can lessen that liability to transit into a refund. Now, if you also own a home and have a spouse that has the W-2, then again, we'll combine that last pay stub into that information, and your last payment to your bank, that last statement can also assess what your interest that you paid and the wow, I forgot the other one off the top of my head. But the mortgage interest that you, oh yes, right, the property taxes that you paid. So we can put that together. So what a corporation basically is rinse and repeat. So you have your P&L statement. In this case, we're going to add your balance sheet to create a tax form and let you know what your liability may be to create the K1 to go to your personal taxes. I know I'm saying a lot of information, and a lot of people probably don't know what a K1 is, but there's probably people who do. But to produce a K1, so we'll know what that's going to transcend into your personal taxes. So in a nutshell, it's just a matter of getting as many documents as you can, which is your W-2, your mortgage interest, your P&L statement, your balance sheet, registration on your vehicles, your boat, your plane, your car, motorcycle, and your documentation for your spouse and any dependents you may have. And then we can put all that together in our computer, shake it up, and see what comes out.
That's awesome. And while you did say, yeah, it is a lot of information, the important thing is that first, this is recorded so people can rewind and listen to it again. But also, we're going to have some information for people to actually get all of that stuff in writing later, so that there's no worries for them there. So a big thing that you see happening, and specifically in the United States, is many people do their own taxes. You mentioned it before about people overcharging, and so some people try to come up with their own solution for that. What is the benefit of an accountant as opposed to someone doing it on their own? Because there is a benefit to it, and I think it's worthy of mentioning.
Absolutely. The benefit is the pressure is not on that individual. The pressure is on the tax accountant. And that's one. The second thing, for people who do it themselves, doesn't always come out right. Let's take this for example, of a person who wants to build a patio in their backyard. Now, if you do not know anything about measurings or tape measures, then that patio is going to look like a Rorschach. Literally, it's going to be in all kinds of forms, this, that, and the other. As a professional coming in and say, no, you need to make sure each one of the boards are the same length, or if you're doing a diagonal, make sure they're all even at the top, so it's not edgy. With a tax accountant, we do basically the same thing. We'll look at what you've done and say, okay, this is what you could have done in order to get a bigger refund or to lower that tax liability. Like accountants, we go to school to be accountants for a reason. And that reason is that we take that knowledge and we transform it into a tax form that a person can either get a bigger refund or lower their tax liability. Like most people did not know that you can, as a business, even business owners, didn't know that you can claim your credit card interest. Some businesses didn't know that. A lot of people did not know that they can even claim their registration on their vehicles in the States. And so this is where we come in, and that's a deduction. So for them to come to a professional, any professional, not just myself, but any tax professional, and say, can you do my taxes? Or most of the time they'll get a letter from the IRS. And when they get that letter, that's that warning sign to say, all right, maybe I shouldn't be touching this. Maybe I should have a professional do it. And that's usually where I get a lot of my people. And we clean it up. They're happy. They come back the next year saying, I'm not going to let anybody else touch my taxes but Maze Concepts.
And so I have two more questions for you. And so one is, with so many tax laws that have changed, I know you've kept up to date with a lot of those things. What are your projections on how individuals need to probably lean on accountants a little more for the next few years?
That is a very good question. There were quite a few deductions that were eliminated over the past couple of years. I'll give you an example. If you change jobs and you're in, you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, and your job is now in Miami, Florida. Before, you were able to claim that as moving expenses. That's no longer a possibility unless you're a business. So a lot of the tax changes were geared towards businesses. Individuals, not anymore. If you used to be able to claim a safe deposit box, you can't claim that anymore. You used to be able to claim tax preparation. You cannot claim that anymore. But if you're a business, you can claim both of those items I just mentioned. So the tax laws have changed more to support businesses as opposed to supporting individuals. But even there are things that we can possibly work on to help litigate some of the deductions that were lessened. And on the plus side of that, the tax laws were changed to increase the standard deductions. So the standard deductions were in place in order to replace those other deductions that were in place years ago. So there is a happy medium between the two, but still the benefit works towards for the government. Sorry to say.
Well, the government always wants their peace, which, and in general, you understand because they do defend you, or they defend the borders at least. So, it makes sense. And
Absolutely.
the thing that I think is really important is that all the information you said, and I alluded to a little bit earlier, is that all information you said is available now that you have an app launching soon, and you're meeting the times where people are just on the go. And so since people are on the go, for people to be able to handle a lot of their tax needs directly from their phone, I think will be really, really good, because right now you're going to have a progressive web app launched this week. And then in the next few weeks, you're going to have your app come out on the Google Play Store as well as the Apple App Store. And this is where people can schedule appointments, ask questions through direct channels to you. They can securely download and upload documents for all of their tax, payroll, notary, bookkeeping, accounting, and all the business needs that you handle. And I think that's really cool because you have existing social media, which I'll let you give direction for that in a minute. But you have existing social media. But the thing is, sometimes people have sort of a lessened appetite for it sometimes because of social media has everything. But with your app, you're going to have your customers come directly to you. And it's streamlining the process for them. So I like the fact that you're a really progressive accountant and you're meeting the needs of the modern individual and the modern business. So with that being said, which social medias do you use and how do we find you on social media?
Yeah, but to start off, I am really, really excited. My office is really excited about the app release. This is a new venture for me, and I'm excited and looking forward to the responses that will come back, the feedback. And like I said, you can hear in my voice how excited I am for that app to come out. All right, so about the media. Okay, there are a few ways that people can also reach me. One is through my website, mazeconceptsllc.com. We also have a Facebook presence, Maze Concepts, and we're also on Instagram and Twitter, even though they're not one of the my favorites, but I understand that is becoming more popular than Facebook with the next generation, and that's definitely who our target market is going into the next 10 years when my office manager takes over in 10 years, takes my position. I'm actually grooming him to replace me, so I'm also looking forward to that. He is media guru. That's what I call him. It's my media guru. But we're really excited about the app launch and the things that all the possibilities, the doors that are going to open with that app. And I am really, really excited and looking forward to actually putting that to use and having my clients and future clients using that forum as a way of communicating with us and be able to teach them and do their taxes and answer any bookkeeping or payroll or questions or tax questions they may have as part of our service with Maze Concepts LLC.
And that's amazing, because as an accountant, it's very important to be forward thinking. You have to understand the changing clientele, the changing laws, and just the changing world as a whole, because you deal with money, and you have to understand that money and the system that money functions in involves. But really quick, Mays Concepts is spelled Mays, right?
Yeah.
Concepts, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I know when people go to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, sometimes it gets sort of lost in the shuffle, which is another
Mhm.
good reason you have an app coming out. But just so they understand exactly where to go for Maze Concepts. So,
Absolutely.
with the final question is the final thought.
Mhm.
The podcast is called Voices of My people, brothers, sisters, etc. I use this podcast to emphasize the people that I have met in life that have really given me a lot of energy and juice to go forward. So I want to give them something back. And so what I ask is that when they provide the final thought, I like to close the podcast episode out with them saying the final thought on anything they want to, because it's about their voice, it's about what they're offering the public. And so with that, I will thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to hearing more exciting things coming from the Excited Accountant. And with that, I will leave the final word to you.
Thank you, Lewis. I love what I do. I'm excited about the future with Maze Concepts. Again, we do tax preparation, bookkeeping, and payroll. We're also a notary, but we're a notary for the North Carolina only. Sorry, but we do taxes, payroll, and bookkeeping for any business worldwide. Again, we're excited about the future, and our tagline is "Remember, you can count on me."